We're live. Good morning, everyone. I am so glad to be here today. My name is Gwen Moore. I'm a member of Congress from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm so delighted to be joined by Nancy Altman, the president of Social Security Works. I appreciate her stewardship, her expertise, and her long-standing work to safeguard Social Security. I'm also thankful to be joined today by Social Security beneficiary Judith Brown, who traveled all the way from North Carolina to D.C. to be with us today to share her very important testimony. I would be remiss to jump into a discussion about Social Security, which of course is the greatest anti-poverty program ever. I would be remiss if I didn't discuss the backdrop of this discussion and what is taking place on Capitol Hill right this minute, which will devastate our seniors. Right now, Republicans are pushing for $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid and $300 billion in cuts to SNAP, formerly called food stamps, to pay for tax cuts for the wealthy. As Republicans tout their quote-unquote big, beautiful bill, just let me say there's nothing beautiful about taking food out of the mouths of our seniors. And at the same time, we know that this administration and Elon Musk's Doge team have worked to destroy the Social Security system, to damage it, to make it inefficient and broken with cuts to customer service and field offices. You know, as the former commissioner of Social Security, Martin O'Malley, said, they want to wreck it before they rob it. And we are seeing that scheme happen in real time, which is only to pave the way for the long sought after effort on the Republicans' part to privatize the Social Security program. But here's the thing. Social Security is enormously popular. And as we seek to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, it is worthy of noting that the effectiveness and efficiency rate and the accuracy rate of Social Security is more than 99%. It puts millions of people out of poverty every year. And of course, it's the leading anti-poverty program in our country. The American people have made it clear they don't want this administration messing with their Social Security. End of story. Period. This is an earned benefits. And I hear from my constituents all the time, all over the political spectrum, independents, Democrats, Republicans, that they're worried about losing their benefits and want me to take action. And as a member of the Ways and Means Committee, and as a member of the subcommittee on Social Security, I am focused on providing critical oversight and advancing proposals that protect and shore up this earned benefit. As Social Security faces threats like it never has in its 90-year history, now is the time for me to reintroduce my legislation to strengthen and protect Social Security. My bill would really meet the needs of working people, including women, people, and low-wage workers who are especially financially vulnerable in retirement. It secures key reforms which would help Social Security fully live up to its promise to ensure that Americans are lifted from poverty as they age. Specifically, my bill would increase benefits for our eldest seniors, people who are 20 years past retirement or 85 years old or older. Think about it. When you're 85, you need to pay for people to cut your grass. Or if you're in Wisconsin, to shovel your snow. And that costs money to do that. This provision is especially important as people are living longer. And many seniors at this age have outlived their little nest eggs that they've gathered. And we can provide them with better economic security so that aging doesn't push them into poverty. My legislation also recognizes that caring for a child is work and would allow a parent who leaves to receive Social Security benefits for the years that they provide care. This provision reaffirms that just because a caregiver isn't working outside the home doesn't mean that they aren't working. Mother work is work. And so caregiving is work. And it's especially relevant for women who have been forced to leave the workforce because of a lack of child care, and benefit the many women who leave the workforce to care for a young child. Oh, it would give women up to 5 years, quarters, for child caring responsibilities. My bill would also update the special minimum benefit. This policy was intended to better support long-term work of low-wage workers, but hasn't fully served them because of its formula being tied to price-based inflation instead of wage growth. And as a result, the special minimum benefit has been weakened because it's smaller. And right now, only a teeny tiny fraction of beneficiaries receive this benefit. And only one person out of every 2,380 persons receives the special minimum benefit. So, my bill would update the special minimum benefit to 100% of the poverty level, which would help it better benefit low-wage workers in retirement. Social Security needs to, at a minimum, have people above the poverty level. My bill helps to meet the economic realities of millions of Americans who have worked hard their entire life, but still feel squeezed in retirement. My colleagues talk about the dignity of work, and I want to talk about the dignity that every American deserves to retire and age in dignity. And we can and must actualize this promise. Oh, I am so happy now to yield to Nancy at this time. And we are certainly going to be inspired by not only her sincerity around this, but her expertise. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. On behalf of 70 million beneficiaries, on behalf of 170 million working families, and on behalf of all of our children and grandchildren, the Social Security Works proudly endorses this important legislation. Representative Moore is such an inspiration. She is a true champion of Social Security, and we need champions more than ever. I think we first met when you were championing, trying to close a field office in your district in Milwaukee. It was outrageous. And because of that, there were important changes where now people have to be notified and have public access before those. And she's gone on championing this legislation and being a force. And we need that more than ever. The Social Security is in its 90th year this year. It has survived wars, survived the pandemic, survived the Great Recession. It has never missed a payment. I've been working on this for 50 of those 90 years.
Wow.
And I have never been more worried about the future of Social Security. The American people are with us. They know that Social Security is more important than ever. They know that benefits should not be cut. They know that benefits should be expanded, the way that Representative Moore is introducing legislation to do just that. But Donald Trump and his administration have a very different idea. Now, you probably heard him around the country all through the campaign promising, I'm not going to cut Social Security, I'm not going to cut Medicare, I'm not going to cut Medicaid. Well, he said that in 2016 as well, but every one of his budgets, all four of his budgets, all 4 years, proposed cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Fortunately, Congress, Representative Moore and her colleagues stood up and said, no, we are not doing that. So I'm afraid he's taking a different tack this time. He's destroying it from within. There are all these 19 or 20-year-olds running around with all of our most personal data. It is outrageous what they have. We have no idea what they're doing with it. And many experts have told me, even if they were completely benevolent in what they wanted to do, they don't know what they're doing. It's very complicated. They could crash the system. They could disrupt it. And we may have that in the future. But of course, we know their motives are pernicious. They've been talking about putting people on what's called the death master file, which, can you imagine being said to be dead when you're not, and you lose your health care, you lose your source of income, you lose your credit cards, you lose everything. And that's what they're doing. So we've got to fight. We've got to continue to push. Again, there couldn't be a starker difference. Representative Moore represents the Democratic Party, which wants to expand benefits and require the wealthiest to pay their fair share. We can see what the Republicans are doing right now. They're undermining Social Security. They're cutting Medicaid. I've just learned that what they did last night, apparently there will now be cuts to Medicare.
Yes, $500 billion.
$500 billion. And what is it all for? So Elon Musk and Donald Trump and their buddies can all have, I don't know how much money people need, but apparently $400 billion is not enough for them. So with that, I think all of us should who are watching, I would call every single day, those who represent you, your members in Congress and the Senate, after all, I like to remind people, they work for us, we don't work for them. We pay their salaries. So when they're going to be in town next week in their districts, and every day call and say, hands off Social Security, make sure that let's have some oversight and let's find out what Elon Musk and Doge are doing, and let's support Representative Moore's bill, co-sponsor that bill. So thank you so much, and thank you for all you are doing.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm really excited about, and you will be too, to hear from our guest who's traveled from North Carolina. I met her before, and she's someone who is utilizing her earned benefit under Social Security. And I think it's important that we don't be abstract about the benefit. It is important to learn from people who are experiencing the difficulties that they could face in Social Security and to talk about what Social Security means to them. Judith, please join me up here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Representative Moore. Hello, everyone. My name is Judith Brown, and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was 17 when I started working, and I worked for 20 years as an administrator until I had to leave the workforce due to disability. It took 2 years to get Social Security disability, and those years were incredibly difficult. Right now, my Social Security check is very modest at only $1,531 a month. But it is a lifeline that has kept my family and I out of homeless shelters for 20 years. No one thinks they're going to be the ones that'll need a lifeline. until they have an accident or a medical event. I know many people who were working, and when they became disabled, all of a sudden they lost their job, they lost their homes, waiting to be approved. Without Social Security and the Medicare that comes with it, I would not be able to see my specialists, receive my eye care, or meet any of my other medical needs. I'm also the mother of 2 sons who are on the autism spectrum. They were young when I had to leave the workforce due to disability. Without Social Security disability, I would not have been able to take care of them, also get them their medical and therapy care that they needed to become independent young men. My oldest son receives $963 a month on SSI, but he does live on his own. My youngest used to receive SSI, but came off it when he was 19. He now works as an illustrative artist. He has roommates, and it isn't always easy, but he is proud to support himself and pay back into a system that supported him. Most people that I know that are on SSI and Social Security, they want to work, but it's difficult to find jobs that can accommodate our disabilities. It's also scary to risk losing eligibility of our benefits and the health care that comes with it. I one time got a very good remote job, and then they laid everyone off 45 days later. It took me a minute to get my Social Security back after that, but these are the issues with those who are in the system that they face. Right now, this administration is bent on stripping us of our benefits that we paid into during our working years, from the closure of field offices, the layoff of thousands of workers, and the continued attack on the historic support of seniors and people with disabilities. This is too much. There is too much at stake right now. As a person with mobility and vision impairments, this is outrageous. Social Security must not only be protected, but expanded. The chaos that has already been unleashed is causing incredible stress and confusion for people all around the country on Social Security. This administration's plan for Social Security right now is slash and crash, and it must stop. Our entire existence is on the line. Let's fight to not only protect, but expand Social Security. From people like myself and my sons, let's get behind this plan so Social Security can last another 90 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Are there questions or comments? We have a few people here. Yes, we have a question. I would love for you guys to join me back, Judith and Nancy, in case these questions are directed to you.
How do you get Republicans on board, and do you have any?
Republicans get Social Security quiet as it's kept. But go on.
The good news is that although Republicans in Congress are completely out of step with their constituents love Social Security and depend on it and don't want to see it cut. And my understanding is, Representative Moore, you tell me if I'm correct, that if the Democrats win in the next election and have control over the House, Hakeem Jeffries is in favor of protecting and expanding Social Security. And my understanding is he will bring expansion legislation up for a vote. And if that happens, Republicans are going to be in a hard spot because they're billionaire donors and benefactors that they're giving all these tax breaks to. They don't want to pay more for Social Security. They don't want to see it expanded, but their constituents do. And I think if legislation like this legislation that's been proposed is brought to a vote, there will be some Republicans that have to vote for it. I don't know if you agree with that or not. But.
I absolutely cannot wait for the changing of the guard. You know, it would be, Republicans benefit from the Social Security bill and Medicare as well, and they rely on it. And I have heard that there are plenty of Republicans that are going to vote for this bill, the big, beautiful bill, which, ultimately it paired up with everything else, undermines Social Security, but they're hoping and praying that something happens, that it doesn't really pass. I just want people out there to know that your voices are heard. That you say, well, what can I do? I mean, your rallies, your calls, your letters have Republicans terrified. And they are more terrified of you, or becoming to be more terrified of you, than they are of Elon Musk and President Trump. They need, because you're the boss, applesauce. You brung us to the party, and you can take us out. It's like I said, it's a benefit that we have some choices about it. The $1.5 trillion, that's about the amount that's in the trust fund now, right? It's so interesting that they're providing over $1.5 trillion worth of tax cuts to the wealthiest people. And think about all of their complaints about the solvency of Social Security and the problems. If they literally wanted to do something about Social Security, they literally could provide that to the trust fund, instead of giving it to billionaires. So we see where their priorities lie. Thank you all for joining us. Viva Social Security.
It's an earned benefit. We've all earned it.
We've all earned it.